This look like in a town that refuses to practice it? Hi everyone, welcome back to Tina's Writing, and today I'll be doing a book review and analysis of the book To Kill a Mockingbird. So basically, To Kill a Mockingbird, it's the author is Harper Lee, and it's a timeless novel about justice, empathy, and growing up in a deeply divided society. I'm reviewing it because its lessons still feel painfully relevant to today's events that is happening, and I feel like this is a lesson that we all should be aware of and share the meaning of it and learn by this book. And the summary is, in the small town Alabama of Macomb, young Scout Finch learns about fairness, prejudice, and compassion as her father, Atticus, a lawyer, defends a black man falsely accused of a crime. Through Scout's eyes, we see how personal choices can affect others, sometimes their life. And so I'm going to go through of each theme, sometimes giving quotations, sometimes not, of this book. And the first theme we're going to talk about is racial injustice, and I'm going to go to the chapter 9, which has a quote about this, but I'm going to first read the description of how this theme is shown in here. The trial of Tom Robinson exposes the town's deep racism, not just in the verdict, but in how neighbors react. It's uncomfortable, frustrating, and intentionally shows how prejudice blinds people of the truth. Personally, it was the most heartbreaking part of the book. And so I am going to go to chapter 9, which Scout, she's in school, and there's this boy called Cecil Jacobs who starts saying bad things about her father because he's defending a black man, and calls him the N slur and lots of things. And so then she goes home and she asks him, "Do you defend Atticus?" I asked him that evening, and then he says, "Of course I do. Don't say N." And then Scout, that's common. And then she says, "That's what everybody at school says." And he says, "From now on, it'll be everybody less one." So it shows how people have this, it has this racial prejudice, and they say like wrong things because of the trial of Tom Robinson, and also wrong things about her father. So the town kind of turns on her father because he is defending this black man. And then the second theme is moral courage, and basically it is Atticus defends Tom despite knowing the town will turn on him, and Mrs. Dubois fights her own battles of bravery. Both show that courage isn't loud, it's choosing what's right even when you expect to lose. And I feel like this is a very significant theme in the book as to how, like, it might not go how we expect, but it is still worth it to fight for what is worth fighting for and to seek justice. And most of the ways that Atticus shows his bravery is quietly. Like, he doesn't take pride in it because he knows that already doing it is prideful enough. So he doesn't mention anything, he just does it. And I feel like that shows how intelligent of a man he is. And I don't have a quote for this theme. But and then our third theme is loss of innocence, and it's basically Scout and Jem slowly growing and slowly realizing. It shows that they're slowly realizing that the world isn't fair, and they're losing this innocence that they had in the beginning of the book, shown in chapter 1. For example, like when they are playing those games of trying to get Boo Radley out of the house. And Jem's reaction to the verdict, which is in chapter 22, is "It's not right, Atticus," which shows his shock as his belief in justice collapses. Scout begins to realize people can mean well and still be ignorant, and their childhood assumptions fade as reality starts to step in, and they start becoming more mature about their surroundings and realizing how their surroundings are. So this really is a learning lesson for both of them, and in a good way, and it does take a bit of a toll on them, especially Jem, because they don't realize it before, so it can come as a shock. The fourth theme we're going to talk about is empathy, and it's basically when Scout, she tells Atticus at home like something that she didn't like that her teacher said, Miss Carroll, or something she didn't agree with. and it is in chapter, what chapter is it in? Look at it. It took long. I think it is in chapter 3. Yes, I found it. So basically, she tells Atticus, like, please don't take me back to school, sir. And then he stands up and he says, first of all, if you can learn a simple trick, Scout, you'll get along better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, sir, until you climb into his skin and walk around it. So he basically, this Atticus here is teaching Scout to walk in someone's shoes, shaping how she tries to understand people first and judging them, and this lesson becomes an emotional core of the story as well. So it is kind of foreshadowing in a sense. And the fifth and the last theme we're going to be talking about today is class and social hierarchy in the town Maycomb, where Scout and her father and her brother lives. So I'm going to put the theme here, class and social hierarchy, and there is actually a quote for this, but let me just read this first. Maycomb has an unwritten social ladder. Family, reputation, money, and race all decide how people are treated. Even Scout sees it at school, where reading like breathing makes her an outsider. And we can see in chapter 2 that she feels this way because Miss Carroll says let's not let our imaginations run away with us, dear, she said. Now you tell your father not to teach you anymore. It's best to begin reading with a fresh mind. And then since she's the protagonist and she's the person who is like telling you the story, she is an adult telling her story from her childhood, like her perspective back then. She reflects that until I feared I could lose it, I never loved to read. One does not love breathing. And so it basically shows like the social hierarchy of Maycomb, and that if you do not fit in the social hierarchy, you are seen as an outsider. And she experiences this right now, and she also notices with other people in the story, like Walter Cunningham, who comes from a poor family, the Cunninghams, or Boris Ewell, who is a son. No, not the son, oh my god. Who is the brother of Mayella Ewell, which is the girl that Tom Robinson is accused of the crime raping. So there's this social hierarchy in Maycomb, and depending on where you are in the social hierarchy, it defines how you're treated. And Scout is treated badly because she likes to read. So this is very significant in the story later on. And also talking about Harper Lee's writing, I feel like it was such a brilliant idea to make Scout the narrator, because her narration gives the story honesty and dramatic irony, and also a little bit of balance through all of the serious themes. It also adds this quality as that when the serious themes comes in the story and you get to that part of the story, it becomes more impactful because you change from such like something more childhood innocence like scenes to serious scenes, and her simple childhood moments makes the novel's injustice hit even harder. So I feel like that is why it was such a good choice to make her the narrator, because it makes it a little bit more like easy like for a while until the serious scenes come, and it hits like a truck kind of in a sense. And I feel like my personal thoughts and takeaways is that like this book made me rethink how easily society excuses unfairness. For example, characters like Dolphus Raymond especially stood out to me, like his choice to pretend to be drunk so people could explain his life is one of the most memorable insights into Maycomb's judgment. how he pretends to be drunk, but instead he's drinking Coca-Cola, shows how people likes to create their own explanations in their mind of people, and these assumptions of people who may not be actually even true. And people spend their whole life believing that about somebody, and it's not even true. And so it's like funny how people can judge someone without even realizing it or without even saying it. And his way of just going on of it to like, because of that, shows that like he doesn't really care. And I feel like that is such a memorable insight into Macon's judgment, but also into his as a character. Like, I feel like I wanted to see him more besides just the trial scene, after the trial scene or during it actually. And critiques, I feel like I said, I wish Adolphus Wayman had more time. His perspective felt valuable and could have added more depth, but I don't think I have any critiques of like the pacing. I don't think. I also feel like I recommend to read this book to anyone who wants a story about justice, compassion, and growing up in a flawed world. If you want a little bit more hope in this hard time, not only hope, but like obviously you're probably like, how am I gonna get hope from this book? We're sad, but it does have some good lessons that you can put in your heart, and I feel like it is a very good read nonetheless. And I think my rating, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5. I'm gonna put it here 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like it is a must read for powerful themes and unforgettable characters. And I want to ask you guys before I log out and before I leave, it's which character do you think represents the Mockingbird the most? A symbol of innocence harmed by hatred. I feel like this can be a big debate because there are so many characters who can represent the Mockingbird in a sense. Mostly Boo Radley, my opinion, because honestly, before I leave, I just want to say like a memorable thing of this book is the scene where she sees like Boo Radley like for the first time, and when like Jem had his and she sees him for the first time. It reminded me of the scene of like Monsters Inc., where like that little girl with like the pigtails, like she met the monster for the first time. Kind of reminded me of that, and I feel like it kind of fits into this. Like, I feel like the scene between Scout and Boo Radley is kind of like the original of that scene, if that makes sense. I'll put a picture of what I'm talking about here of the scene in Disney, and I feel like this scene made it more memorable for me when I watched the movie with my mom. So I really like that scene a lot, and it just like fits into the symbolism that Boo Radley was seen as a monster, but he was just someone who was done wrong by his dad. And I feel like that just like is so beautiful. And so that is my thoughts. I think can be one of the Mockingbirds. I feel like there's more than one, but comment down below who you think represents the Mockingbird most. I think he's for first place for me, but comment down below your opinion, and bye.